Hello, I'm Brent Carney, and this is Big Blue Review. The last year here at the University of Kentucky was one of almost universal athletic success, with men's and women's teams reaching the top of the conference and among the very best at their sport in the country. Over the next half hour, we'll speak with some of the men and women in charge of leading those programs here in Lexington. We begin with track and field, where Edric Florial has led the Wildcats not only near the top of the SEC, but among the very elite programs nationally.
I think the development of the program has increased quite a bit. We've been successful in events that we're typically not known for. That always shows growth. We don't want to just be sort of a one-trick pony, so we sort of have to do the broad-based track and field program, make sure that, you know, hurdle U is nice, but we got sprinters, we got jumpers, and we got to make sure that we develop them, and that the program is known for a track and field cross-country team, not just for 2 or 3 single events. Shakila Saunders sort of been sort of a steady Eddie for us. She's been around 5 years. Watching her win was special, and then the way she did it, you know, winning on your very last jump and being in 3rd place, 1 jump to go, you know, all or nothing, and then putting it together and almost breaking the collegiate record was sort of a special moment for her. 4x1 is the event that people signify sprint. You know, sort of like if you can win the 4x1, you're a sprint program now. Doing it at the national championship when it matters, under pressure. Running down Alabama was really cool. You know, you like to win by a big margin, but running somebody down at the finish line is even better. Sort of like an exclamation point. They knew they wanted to win, and they talked about it all night that they're going to win the national championship the next day. And watching them put it together was special. The pole vault is the event that Arkansas has dominated, and all of a sudden, little bitty old Kentucky is the NCAA champion, taking the championship home, and Olivia's just a sophomore, so you think we got 2 more years of that dominance left, so that's exciting. We had a couple more pieces, training partners for her. We think we're going to be also really good. Hosting the regional was big. It's a huge step because people recognize you by your ability to host and host world-class events. Hosting I think, is essential to being successful. Next year, starting up with the men will be really good. Number 1 goal was to bring some really high-quality guys, and we've signed some monsters, some guys that are difference makers for the program. We're going to take the new recruits, we're going to take the returners, and we're going to do something special with it, and hopefully get a chance to bring in some hardware. On the women's side, we've sort of built something, and now our women have interest, and when they have interest, kids keep coming. What I did this year is just recruit, just find high-quality people who were interested in being here. Kids are saying that, hey, I can go to this program, or I can go to this program. The difference is I know I'm going to improve here, and I know I'm going to get better, and I can see the level of care that people put into the student athletes is significantly different. And that's kind of what we're building our program on, that we're going to look after you. We're going to push you. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but you're going to get better. And if it's in your genes to become a professional one day, we're going to do everything we can to make sure you can do that.
Big Blue Review continues with Carlos Drada, now in charge for going into your 13th season with the women's tennis program here at the University of Kentucky. And of those 12 seasons, few better than the one you're coming off of last year. You must be awfully proud of how things turned out.
Yeah, I was very grateful. It was an amazing season. It was great to see how our senior leaders and the rest of the team just decided to make the best out of the situation, and we were in a great position. For a while, we were tied for 1st place in the SEC. Towards the end of the season, the SEC is the toughest conference in the nation, so it got a little bit tough, and we lost a few close matches, but ended up being 5th in the SEC, and that's honestly one of our best finishes. It's not easy to do that in the SEC. The
doubles duo that you built this year, playing #1 doubles, among the very best in all of college tennis.
Yeah, honestly, the year before they were the best in the nation, and this year they dropped a little bit in their level. It's not easy when you have a mark in your back, and they were 1 for the majority of the year last year. And so 2 years in a row, for actually probably 23 out of 24 months, they were #1 in the nation, and that's not easy because they are playing a very high level. The format that we play in doubles is very random in some situations, and to be able to maintain the records that they held was something very special, and it's going to be a great opportunity for us to keep building upon them. Our doubles is creating a presence around the nation. People know that if they're going to play Kentucky in doubles, it's going to be a dogfight, and usually we do really well. So we're hoping to now take that into singles and show the rest of the team that we can have that prominence in both singles and doubles. So.
When you look at this program, it feels as if you guys are ready to take that next big step, whether it's a full season atop the SEC or a deeper tournament run. Do you feel like you're right there on the precipice?
Exactly, and honestly, it was about to happen last year, but things happen when they're supposed to happen, and I'm very excited because, like I said, the core is still here. We have a girl like Agba Parsinskaite who was an elite player. On paper, she's the best player to have ever come here to UK. Not many people can have that beside their name. That's somebody who's going to be able to continue growing. She's got strong leadership characteristics, and I mean, we're about to turn it on, and that's why we're being very selective of the people that we let into our program, because one thing that I learned early on in my career is that everybody has to buy into what it is that you're doing, and everybody has to vibrate in the same mindset that you're trying to, with things that you're trying to accomplish. So I'm very clear of what kind of player I'm looking for, and I'm grateful that I have an athletic director that has always supported me to make sure I do the right things.
Of course, as Carlos continues to grow the women's tennis program, Cedric Kaufman experiencing a very similar rise in the SEC and nationally with the men's tennis program, and he's next on Big Blue Review. Another appearance in the NCAA tournament for Kentucky men's tennis. Had to be happy with the way the season went, if not thrilled with when it ended. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair. I'd say it's an average year, I think, for us. But I think we had some high hopes. Maybe at the beginning, I think we wanted to do very special. We had some up and downs through the season, but at the end, we played really, really well the last 2 weeks.
You say perhaps a little disappointed. It should be noted, this is still a program that was in the top 25, sometimes near 15th or so in the country all season long. So that kind of speaks to where this program has gone as you continue to grow it. That expectation is going up, isn't it, to be among the very best in the country?
Yeah, it is, and I think the most difficult thing that we're trying to do is do it every single year. And so when you're not, we speak about goals at the beginning of the year, and if you don't finish, and we're a little bit disappointed. Now like I said, I forget, at the end of the season, you forget that you did some good things, but you always go back at we should have done this better and that better. But I look back at it, we did a lot of good things, but at the end of the day, I think we should have done a little bit better.
And some of those good things, you're talking 3 players who individually were ranked nationally playing singles.
That's correct.
You had a doubles team that also was ranked nationally. So there is several things to build on as you head into this season. What's it look like for the group coming back?
I'm very excited, and we changed some workouts and the way we practiced. I think it worked out well in the NCAA, so I think if we can carry that on, I'm really, really looking toward next year. I think we're coming back with a good core, an older core, so I think they'll be ready to not make the mistakes that we did this year.
And one of the difficulties last year was getting sent in the NCAA tournament to have to play #1 overall seed Wake Forest,
Yes.
the group that ultimately ended your season in the second round.
Yes.
That's part of taking that next step, is it not, to play your way into a little bit better seed and a little easier path to get to where you're hoping to go?
That's correct. Yeah, I think we played a really good match against Wake at their home courts, but the key is maybe playing them in the semis or the quarters or the round of 16. And the job we have to do is be a little bit better in January, February, March, to play those teams a little later in the tournament.
You feel as this tennis program is on an upward trajectory, it fits right in with so many other programs, men's and women's sports, in this athletic department. With the overall success, is that something you can sense, and is it something that you can use to your advantage specifically when it comes to men's tennis?
Yeah, I think we compete against all the tennis teams across the country. I'm not saying we compete with the other teams at Kentucky, but when another team is very successful, we always feel like, okay, they can do it, then we can do it. So I think all the teams did a really, really good job this year. I think next year for us to be, like I said, a top 5 program overall in the Directors Cup is for us to be a little bit special at the end of the year. The NCAA is a little bit more push, 1 or 2 more rounds. I think we can make that happen.
That's Cedric Kaufman. He leads Kentucky men's tennis team. Next on Big Blue Review, Lars Jorgensen with a closer look at swimming and diving.
The women had a historic season, really kind of led by our freshman Asia Sight, who is the first time in program history we've had SEC Freshman of the Year. So that was substantial. She made 3 finals at NC2As. It was really tremendous for us. The women had scored the most points we've ever done at NC2As, finishing 14th in the country. So really moving in the right direction. We're trying to take it up another level. That's kind of the challenge for next year, the incoming group. On the guys' side, we had some really nice dual meet victories, beat some teams like Tennessee that we've never beaten before. Both sides, I thought we had some really good progress this year, and we're just trying to get better every year.
And there's their first ever NCAA champion, Danielle Gallier.
Danielle is the true definition of a student athlete. The things that she's accomplished here, I don't know if it will ever be done. Her academics, a perfect 4.0. She's gotten tons of NC2A postgraduate scholarship, SEC champion, NC2A champion. But the biggest thing, I think, is she left an impact in terms of our leadership, in terms of creating a culture for the younger girls to follow, that you can do some great things at Kentucky, whether it's academically or athletically.
Gina Frericks of Kentucky, who hangs on to win.
Gina's been tremendous. She was appointed team captain for next year, one of our captains. She was won her first SEC title in the 200 free. It was a really close win. But she also scored a couple events at NC2A. So she's an All-American, was great on our relays. She's a great young lady. She's really talented. She works hard. She's got great feel and technique for the water. She's one of the best people I've ever had the honor of coaching, and I think she can continue to improve and get better.
Diving fourth, a senior from the University of Kentucky, Rebecca Empyrean.
Becca's been awesome, and she has contributed so many points to our team, both at the SEC level and the NC2A level. She's going to be really hard to replace. We're going to look at developing some of our younger divers, if that's Kaylee Francetic or Courtney Clark, and can maybe collectively fill her shoes. But individually, Becca's going to be tough for us to replace. Catherine Painter was outstanding this year, All-American the 400 IM her sophomore year. She had such a great freshman year, and she's like, I don't know if I can get better. And she did.
Now Sebastian Masterton of Kentucky.
Seb Masterson was awesome, our diver. Scoring in NC2As. Seb has been our best performer really the last 2 years. He worked so hard. He's just really gritty and tough. He had a good year, but he can be better next year. Make a couple of finals in NC2As. Kyle Higgins, making NC2As was great. Had an outstanding NC2A meet. Came up just a little bit short in scoring, but finished the season with all best times. Was our most consistent performer. Didn't lose the 200 butterfly all year. Isaac Jones just missed NC2As, and so did Drew Aviati. There was within the first couple that were eliminated. Isaac so far has been having a great summer, so we expect him to come in and be on the NC2A team for next year. Glenn Brown was outstanding as a freshman. Was our best swimmer. Really versatile. I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him. Allie's super good, and she's super talented. Can do a wide range of both freestyle and backstroke races. I think, she's got such a really bright future. Madison Winstead from Dunbar High School right here in Lexington had a great year, finished second at SECs in the 100 breaststroke. They're leaders on our team, and really look forward to the next 3 years with them and see if we can't, move up higher at the SEC and NC2A.
Back on Big Blue Review, time to talk women's golf with Golda Borst entering now her 8th season leading the Kentucky program, and it seems like it is a program that continues to get a little better and a little better. And this past season, one of the best, truly, by the scoring average in program history. You've got to be awfully pleased with how it went.
We are pleased. I mean, we had a disappointing end to the season, but overall, when you sit down and break it down, it was a good season.
What clicked for you guys this year? It seemed like there was a mix of some older, more experienced players, but also some younger players who were participating in some key spots.
Yeah, recruiting was good. We had 2 solid freshmen come in. Josephine Chang had a really, really strong fall. She came in just ready to go. As you mentioned, we had some older ones, some younger ones in the mix of that, and them kind of going at it provided a lot of great competition for us at home, which then translated to lower scores at tournaments.
It would seem as if this program now is established where it's a year in, year out expectation to qualify for the NCAA tournament but there is that next step to advance into the next weekend, to get to that championship play. Is that where you feel like you guys are at now, and how do you take that next step?
Absolutely. To take that next step, we need to fire on all cylinders. We were one player short, to be honest with you, this year going into regionals, and it put a lot of pressure on the 5 that I had. And so I think with the recruiting class that we have coming this fall and keeping several of the same players, we're only going to get stronger. The goal is to reach the final 8 at the championship and to compete for the championship.
Is it difficult to find that fine line? Because on the one hand, the scoring average continues to work its way down. The program is clearly improving if you look at it big picture, but like you said, right on that precipice to taking that next big step. How do you manage expectations with also celebrating where you've come? You've
got to take time and really appreciate what you've done and talk about that and make sure the girls understand that and take that in and feel good about that. But then at the same time, you've got to make sure they understand that this isn't where we want to be. You know, it's a great step. So we're 1 or 2 players short, and I feel good about what's that going to do for us the players coming in moving forward. But we celebrate in the moment, and then we refocus and we look ahead.
One of the exciting things, obviously, athletic department-wide, is just the success, men's sports, women's sports, some of these Olympic sports, really top to bottom. The ones you see every week and maybe the ones you don't hear about quite as often are all on a similar upward trajectory. Do you feel that, and does it help affect what you guys are doing when everybody's winning?
Absolutely, it helps. It's something we talk about. When we have strong athletes everywhere, it pushes our girls, it pushes our team. An example is we work out right next to softball in the mornings, and our girls love that. You know, they bring such energy, and not that our girls don't have energy, but it helps everybody. And so when you see other teams have success, it drives our girls even more. When you have success overall within an athletic department, it makes everybody want to do better.
And of course, in the athletic department, when you're talking golf, you have Golda leading the women's side, and you have Brian Craig leading the Wildcats men's golf team, and he's next on Big Blue Review.
We had a solid year. We definitely were competitive, and we definitely were consistent. We only lose one senior. Steven Stallings is our only senior on the whole team, and he was a starter for us. We'll miss him, but I like what we got coming back. I think the future is really, really bright. I like the recruits we have coming in. This year left a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth just because we missed out on advancing to the NCAA finals by 1 shot at the regionals, and that's tough to take. I'm still not over it yet, to be honest with you, but I will be, and I can't wait to get started again next fall. Cooper Musselman and Chip McDaniel, 2 terrific upperclassmen that really led the way for us. Not just with their play, but with their attitudes and with their never give up, never give in. Great young men, and they're going to be big cogs in the wheel for us here in this upcoming season. Steven's all about passion. You know, he was one of our. We had a few captains this year, but he was our only senior, like I said, and he was one of our team captains. You know, Steven doesn't do anything without his whole heart in it. He puts his heart and soul into everything, you know, whether that's community service projects or whether that's practicing with the team or whether that's his schoolwork. Academically, this team is outstanding. It's low maintenance. I like low maintenance in the classroom. I think this fall and spring combined as a team, we probably had slightly over a 3.5 GPA as a team. That's amazing if you think about it. I mean, that's just outstanding. They've made a commitment to excellence in the classroom, and they're sticking to it. We're going to have more depth than I think we've probably had possibly ever. We're going to have 11 guys on the roster, and without a doubt, all 11 are capable of playing and competing. And that's unusual. You know, usually if you have 11, you might have 7 or 8 guys that are really in the mix. But I really think we're going to have 11 that could play in any given week. And so that's going to drive the guys. That kind of depth is going to push you. It's going to motivate you because nobody wants to be left behind. Nobody wants to be on the bench. So I think it'll ratchet up that desire a little bit. You know, ratchet up the competitiveness a little bit. And I just can't wait. You've got a trip of a lifetime, a golf trip of a lifetime planned. Here in 2017, we're going to go back to Ireland and hit really the best golf courses that you can possibly even dream up. Taking the whole team, which is really unusual. We have a few dads going, my volunteer assistants going, you know, coaching staff, and we can't wait to go. Our good golf is consistent and it's solid, but I think we need to tap into more of what we can do when we're really on and get out there and see if we can't win some championships.
Few programs here at the University of Kentucky have had quite the run of sustained success as the rifle team. We caught up with the leader, Harry Mullins.
Season overall this year, 2016, 2017, I think we made some really good progress. We finished 5th last year at the NC2A Championships. In 2016, this year we finished 4th. We had some great performances throughout the course of the season. Billy Asanero had some really good scores. He had a 598 in air rifle. Heather Kirby had a 598 in air rifle as well. And then we had some 590s in small bore by Hannah Carr. But overall, just the consistency, I think, and the confidence really played a big role as far as our team kind of getting a feel for themselves. We didn't have the continuity that I would like to have had as far as the depth goes, going into the mid 580s all the way down to the number 5, 6, and 7 spot on a consistent basis. But we saw some really good things on and off from those spots to really make us feel good for about the upcoming season. Overall, I was real excited after the qualifiers that we put up a score that qualified us to be in the top 8 to go on to the finals. We're trying to turn our program, get it out of that last phase of being in that top 4 to being in that number 1 spot. And I think this group here, just like the last couple of groups, has done a good job. It's just now, the coaches, the coaching staff's responsibility to be able to increase that intensity a little bit more and kind of fine-tune ourselves a little bit more to be able to be prepared to summit the mountain, so to speak, at the end of the year. One of the exciting things that we found out this springtime is we get to host the NC2A Championships in 2020, which is something that we've kind of been looking forward to for the last 10 to 15 years. Rifle has kind of really revolutionized itself, and maybe down the road we might be able to do this more on a regular basis as far as for home matches go. But it's going to be an exciting time. We've got a tremendous fan base as far as the support goes, and to be able to showcase our sport with the fans in the city of Lexington and the state of Kentucky, I think is going to be something really special.
Welcome back to Big Blue Review. Kentucky women's soccer starting a new era. We'll call it the Ian Carey era. Will begin this fall. Ian Carey taking over, first season as head coach. Been an assistant here before, but now you're the man in charge. What's that like?
It's been a great transition. Everybody's been so positive, up for the fight, up for the direction that we want the program to go in, and just cannot wait now for fall to start, that we can actually get to work on the 1st of August.
What are the pillars that I assume you're trying to establish with this team now over the summer as you begin to put your fingerprint on the program?
Definitely hard work, accountability, toughness. I think there are areas that we need to definitely improve on. We definitely need to get the core group of people believing in themselves and being able to hold everybody accountable, from the staff to our backroom staff, to anybody associated with the program, all the way through to the team.
Last year you saw the potential, you saw the flashes, but it was a team that largely struggled. So how close are you guys now?
Very different.
Okay.
Very, very different mentality than what we had in the fall. We have a group of young women who were hurting. They knew that the effort that they were putting in, they did not get a just reward. Right. And they're prepared to go through whatever it takes to make sure that we're bringing Kentucky back to where it should be.
So you feel that enthusiasm is ratcheted up. That's got to be exciting. A new start for you, but also a new start for everyone involved in the program as well.
Yeah, and that was one thing we made clear. Coming in and having the opportunity, to be given the opportunity to take over the program. We knew that it's a good working environment that we needed to create with the team. We needed to get after it from the get-go. So we started off in the spring with 5 a.m.s. We wanted to be the first team at Kentucky that was up early in the morning working, just to show, hey, we're willing to fight for the Big Blue Nation to get ourselves back to where we need to be. But also we wanted to be the first soccer team in the nation that's up at 5 a.m. in the spring when it's still dark for another 3 hours, working hard to make sure that when we get to the fall, we're ready to execute.
You can be excited about a new coach, but it's hard to be excited about hitting that clock, turning off that phone alarm when it's before 5 a.m., when it says 4 as the first number, but yet they bought in?
Oh, absolutely. And again, going back to how the fall ended last year, they were just so hungry just to turn that around and make the program successful, bring the program to where it should be.
We've seen athletic department-wide on campus here at UK, the facilities, it seems like a constant phase of upgrades and improvements and really getting state-of-the-art stuff. And of course, the Bell Soccer Complex is no different than that. You guys have a wonderful place to play.
Yeah, I would throw it out there as probably the best soccer complex in the SEC 100%, in the country perhaps. The investment that Mitch Barnhart has put into athletics across the board has been phenomenal. Phenomenal from a recruiting standpoint. You bring players in from around the country, or even what we have been from overseas, and once they see the facility there, they're blown away.
Well, the Bell will be rocking that expectation reality mesh point will begin in the fall. Ian Carey's first season leading women's soccer, and we should say the fall sports season starts with women's soccer.
Yes,
just
indeed.
a few short months away. That's it for us on Big Blue Review. Thanks for joining us.